aliens who would ever try to trick you or anything. And so I'm just going to see how well you're going to do if I were to give you some questions, okay? So is this cool? Let's just, the missions, how important is Genesis 12? It's so important, okay? So it's so important. And remember, we didn't really talk about this because I kind of shifted gears, but remember, Genesis 12, it talks about God blessing Israel to bless the nations. So you're going to want to remember that. God blessing Israel to bless the nations. It's not nations, God, Israel, okay? The blessing with Abraham, it came with a ton of stuff. It was loaded with land and family and finances and offspring, okay? So just know that it's loaded. Why are you laughing? Why is he making you laugh? Oh, really? That was really rude to say. Okay. Um, you have purpose and you have value. So, what is the promise of Abraham? It includes a ton of stuff, okay? Land, finances, offspring, a great name. Remember, it's not the 80-80 window. What is it called? It's the 1040 window. How many unreached people groups? About 7,000. And unengaged people groups have nothing. Remember how many those are? About 600, yeah. So if you're typing, you're smart. If you're typing, you're smart. Are there 5 epochs of history? There are 10, that's right. Was St. Patrick Irish? That's a trick question. That was a good one. The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. I forget who said that. Tertullian, that's right. Man, you guys are going to have some fun. Raymond Lull was a missionary to Hindus. That's right. He was a missionary to some Muslims. The Moravians. What was that guy's name? Zinzendorf. Samuel Mills. Did he do work in China? Who was Samuel Mills? This is where it's going to get confusing, okay? I apologize. Remember Samuel Mills? He was at Williams College and tucked underneath a haystack and started the haystack prayer movement, okay? So just remember Mills and the haystack. C.T. Studd, I said this in passing. C.T. Studd, he went to college in England. He went to Cambridge College, okay? So don't get confused. C.T. Studd did not go to Princeton. Just know he went to Cambridge, okay? You're like, these questions are terrible. I'm sorry. Mount Hermon, what, 200? Boom. Look at this. Oh. Cameron Townsend. What organization did he start? Wycliffe Bible Translators. Yeah. Well, you guys are going to crush it. You guys don't deal with... I had 63 dates. I had to that professor, he made me memorize 63 dates. You know, I didn't even care. Do you remember who said that yesterday? Do you remember? Man, you've got like the prime seat. Oh my goodness. You are in the spit pit. Look at this. You guys having fun? Should we keep going? Oh my gosh. What makes Christianity unique? What among anything makes it unique? Man, I've got a new book. I've read it twice. I really encourage you to read it. It's so good, okay? So I don't give you many books to read, but I'm going to give you this, okay? It's so good. He's a non-believer. He's the religious chair. He's in charge of the religious chair department at Boston College, and he's my new fave. He's like 45 years old. He's uber smart, and he wrote a book called God Is Not One. His name is Stephen Prothero. And why I love Stephen Prothero is because so many of your non-Christian friends think, oh, all religions teach the same basic thing. But Prothero, who's an academic scholar and a world religion scholar, wrote this book to show you they're not. They all teach different things. They don't lead to the same path. They speak in different words. And so I give this to non-believers to say, hey, listen, I think Christianity is the right way, but you cannot say they all teach the same thing. Read this book. And it's not from a believer, so they're not going to get a ton of Christ language in there. They're just going to be. It's just a really great book. I pulled this out from the book. What the world's religions share is not so much a finish line, but a starting point. Where they begin is with the simple observation: something is wrong with the world. So Prothero says Buddhism, Hinduism, and Islam and Christianity all say something's wrong. But whenever they start defining that, they go completely different directions. Christianity teaches something completely different than Islam, completely different than Hinduism. They part company, however, when it comes to stating just what has gone wrong. They diverge sharply when they move from diagnosing the human problem to prescribing how to solve it. You know that whole saying of, oh, God's at the top of a mountain and we're all mountain climbers? He uses that analogy and he says this: if the world's religions are all mountain climbers, if those who practice world religions are all mountain climbers, we're on completely different mountains. We're climbing completely different peaks, and we're using completely different tools. So again, what this is going to help you with is when you talk to your non-believers, and they're like, I believe all religions teach the same thing, you can be like, they don't. So pick the right one. They don't. In a sports analogy, he continues, he said, which of the following, baseball, basketball, tennis, or golf, is best for scoring runs? The answer, of course, is baseball, because runs is a term to baseball. But tennis and golf alike, different sports have different goals. So if you ask which sport is best at scoring runs, you have privileged baseball from the start. So what he's saying is this: if you're saying, man, I have a sin problem, then of course you're probably going to favor Christianity. If you say I'm stuck on the wheel of samsara, then you're going to favor Hinduism. He's just saying, even in the language we use, it tilts our hand. If you see sin as a human predicament and salvation as a solution, then it makes sense to be a Christ follower. But that doesn't settle so much as you think, because the real question is not which religion is best at carrying us into the end zone of salvation, but which of the religious goals on offer we should be seeking. Should we be turning toward the end zone of salvation or trying to reach the finish line of social harmony like Taoism? Or should our goal be reincarnation like Hinduism? So I just wanted to whet your appetite with a little bit of Prothero. I really like the guy. If you have time and you're bored this afternoon sitting by the water, go listen to some of his talks. He's on the Stephen Colbert Show a lot, and he's just so fun to listen to. And again, I don't obviously abide by his belief system. He's not a Christ follower. But it's really helpful to have someone in the academic world who's saying things that like you and I would say about they don't teach the same basic things. Okay? So what I want to do is I just want to fly over. Here's what we're going to do. It's going to be fun, okay? Do you think it's going to be fun? I just want to fly over and look at the major world religions and show you what Stephen Prothero is going to say basically is they're all different. They have a different mankind problem, okay? And I want you to know about the mankind problem. And then we're going to take a passage in our New Testament. Benet, you're going to love this. You are going to love this. Are you ready? We are going to take a passage in the New Testament. Oh, Benet, I'm so excited. We're going to take a passage in the New Testament, and we're going to ask the question, how would Muhammad have responded? How would Krishna have responded? And how would Buddha have responded? And how did Christ respond? Okay? I mean, how cool is that? That's really cool. That's really cool. And, hey, if you ever get a chance to teach or speak or whatever, man, go back to this passage and just do this. It'd be so fun, and you encourage them in their worldview. So if you're ever looking for like a Bible, or your church is like, you went to Word of Life, come and share some Greek. I thought that was funny. Do you guys learn Greek? You don't? Wow. Oh, I don't know any Greek. I don't even know how to pronounce them. I know, okay, so anyway, Islam. Founder, we talked about Islam. You guys should know Islam. Founder, Muhammad ibn Abdullah. God, Allah. You cannot know Allah, okay? In my office, I have, we got it in Pakistan, I have etched in wood a very, very prominent thing that many Muslims have. It's called the 99 Names of God. And there's 99 names of God in the Quran, 99 names of Allah. And at the very top in my office, it says Allah. And then it has 98 others. It's very beautiful, okay? You cannot know Allah. You can only know His will. Allah is holy and separate. Not one of the 99 names of God is Father. Not one of them is Father, okay? Not one of them is Father, okay? 99. So Allah is unknowable. You can only know His will. Mankind's problem is not sin. You rely on yourself. For a Muslim, there's no such thing as sin. It's only if you get caught. The problem is you rely on yourself, and you need to submit. That's what Islam believes, submit. So this is totally different than Hinduism. Oh my gosh, the founder of Hinduism. The founder of Hinduism is, guess who? There is no founder. There is no founder. There's no definition of what it means to be a Hindu. You might ask one Hindu, what does it mean to be a Hindu? And they're going to say, it means you're a vegetarian. You ask another Hindu, what's it mean to be a Hindu? And they're going to say, you're born in India. You ask another Hindu, what's it mean to be a Hindu? And they're going to say, you honor the cow. There's not one written book. There's not one single book that's this is Hinduism. You have the Bhagavad Gita, which many ascribe by, but it doesn't mean what it means to be a Hindu. Mankind's problem is not self-sufficiency. It's not self-sufficiency like Islam. It's not sin like Christianity. Mankind's problem is you're on a wheel of samsara, a wheel of suffering, and every time you die and come back to life, your karma, your good or bad deeds determine how cemented you are on the wheel of samsara. Mankind's problem is that here's mankind's problem. Are you ready? You're born again. Oh my gosh. In Christianity, that's the answer to the problem. Don't ask a Hindu, hey, you need to be born again. They're going to be like, that's my problem. I've been born so many different times, okay? Mankind's problem is that you're born again. Salvation is found through devoting oneself to one of the gods, Krishna, Shiva, something like that, okay? That is Hinduism. Let me tell you about one of the gods in Hinduism, okay? So this is just one story of the millions. Lord Shiva marries a goddess named Parvati, and Lord Shiva is the destroyer god. He always has a weapon of war. He goes on a far-off journey. He comes back several years later, and he wants in his house, but he can't get in his house because there's a guard out front. Well, Lord Shiva is the destroyer god. He severs the head of the guard, okay? He doesn't even know how to talk. He just severs the head. He didn't realize that was his son, Ganesh, who had grown up while he was gone on his journey. Lord Shiva, let me repeat, just severed the head of his son. Parvati comes rushing out of the house. Shiva vows, whatever walks by next, I'm going to place its head on our son. Well, this isn't Scroon Lake, so it's not a dog, cat, or squirrel, okay? This is India, so the next thing that walked by is an elephant. Lord Shiva puts the elephant head, the world's first head transplant, you can't make this up, the world's first head transplant, he puts it on Ganesh. Today, you have 100 million Hindus who worship Ganesh. So Jesus is an option. A friend of mine was in Delhi, India. He's standing on a curb in Delhi, India. He texts me, Todd, India is trying to get every province, if you're 18 and under, when you ride a motorcycle, they want to pass a law that you wear a helmet. They're passing a law that in every province in India, you have to wear a helmet if you're 18 and under. But they have to have a campaign, and he texted me a picture of their campaign. Care for your head. Not everyone gets a replacement. So, Islam is different than Hinduism, right? They're not climbing the same mountain. They're completely different. They're completely different. But Buddhism, oh my goodness, in Buddhism, it's not like Islam where you have one God who's not knowable. It's not like Hinduism where you have millions to choose from. Buddhism, the founder is a man named Siddhartha Gautama, who was a Hindu. The founder of Buddhism was a Hindu, and he becomes disillusioned with Hinduism. He travels in 563 BC south from his hometown in Lumbini, Nepal, to India. Just to put that in perspective, had he not gone south, had he gone west, he could have listened to Jeremiah, our prophet. But Siddhartha Gautama went south. He vows not to get up until he finds the meaning of life. He sits under a tree for 49 days, living on a grain of rice a day. After 49 days, he passes out. He sees a great light, and on it, what he calls the Four Noble Truths. He sees what's in the Pali language, the Four Noble Truths. Noble truth number 1, all life is suffering. All life is suffering. Noble truth number 2, your suffering is caused by your desire. You desire your neighbor's wife, you take her, you both suffer. Noble truth number 1, all life is suffering. Noble truth number 2, your suffering is caused by your desire. You desire your neighbor's home, you take it, you suffer. Noble truth number 3, if you can end your desires, you can end your suffering. If you can end your desires, you can end suffering. And then noble truth number 4, he lists is just an 8-fold path on how to do that. Noble truth number 1, all life is suffering. Noble truth number 2, suffering is caused by your desire. Noble truth number 3, if you can eradicate your desire, you can eradicate suffering. How do I do that, Siddhartha? Well, I'm going to give you 8 things. From age 30 to 83, Siddhartha Gautama travels North India. He doesn't go by Siddhartha anymore. He changes his name to Buddha. Buddha is the Pali language that he spoke, meaning enlightened one. He changes his name from Siddhartha Gautama to Buddha. He travels for 53 years all over India teaching the Four Noble Truths. And at age 83, someone puts a bad piece of meat in his beggar's bowl, and he dies of food poisoning. Then you have Confucius. I don't understand this. Let me tell you about Confucius. Welcome to the world's most boringest religious founder. This guy, his Instagram is lame.com, okay? I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad. He was a teacher, retired at 50, went into politics, died at 73, no known followers, and no written work. But yet today, if you Google Confucius said, you get like 11 million hits. And you're like, something happened. What happened? Well, his few followers that he didn't realize he had collected his sayings and put them in a book called the Analects. The Analects. Guess what Confucius never talked about? He refused to talk about the afterlife. This is what one of his followers said, and what's in chapter 5, verse 13 of the Analects. One can get to hear about Confucius' accomplishments, but you cannot get to hear his view on heaven. He didn't talk about it. He didn't believe in a God, and he didn't know. He was like, we're not in heaven yet, so don't even talk about it. So, welcome to the world's most boringest founder. Founder of Confucianism. Man, by 200 BC, the entire Chinese empire claimed to be Confucius. That is crazy. Founder, Confucius, God, none. Mankind's problem is you don't understand, you're not educated, you don't have good manners. So learn right living. Completely different than Christianity, completely different than Buddhism, completely different than Islam. Indeed, Prathiro, we're on entirely different mountains. We're using completely different tools. For Confucius, salvation comes through self-cultivation. Is this interesting? Good stuff? I had 63 dates. 63. I'm probably throughout the week going to come back to that. I think because it was my first few minutes in class. You know, I had just got here. I just ironed my shirt. I just got masked and mic'd. And she says, 63. And she starts complaining and griping and moaning as if this isn't a privilege to participate in. Is she in quarantine? You think she's going to be here tomorrow? Really? 10 days? Wow. Suck that. That's terrible, man. Oh my gosh. Is she listening? Okay. Will you text her right now? Pull out your phone. Let's call her up. Will you call her? Come down here. Come down here. Come down here. Come down here. Come into my presence. Come down here. Mask up. Get her on the phone. You better answer your phone, girl. I'm calling you in 10 seconds. Oh, hi. Oh, look who it is, Miss Quarantine. Hey. 63. 63. Oh my gosh.
Your voice is a lot lower than mine. Also, this thing lags.
Okay, we don't care. Okay? Honestly, you're probably never getting out. I don't know what's going to happen. I have so...
Because guess what? I like to be outside all the time.
Okay, listen, here's what I'm going to do. Okay? I'm going to do something for you. Are you got other girls in there quarantined?
We're right next to you guys. We're in Columbia Lower.
Okay, how many girls are in there?
We have 3 downstairs, and then we have 2 upstairs.
Okay, what could I do? What could I bring you? What could we bring you that would make your joy complete? Coffee? I mean, like a Keurig or like Starbucks?
Like, we're talking about any form of coffee, but the stronger the better. I like it. I like my coffee strong.
Okay, and where do you go to get the coffee you like? Because we're kind of isolated in the middle of nowhere.
We have a cafe right in the Bullback that's open.
Oh, we do? Okay. Okay. All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, okay? When we're done here, I'm going to send a student to get you guys some coffee because I can't leave yet because I got kind of an audience.
I mean, yeah, you just got to keep teaching.
But here's what I'm going to do. Then you've got 3... Oh, my gosh. She just talks. She talks. That's all she does. Just listen. Goodness. 63 questions. Okay, you've got 2 others in there or 3?
I have 3.
Okay, I'm going to find someone who can get this for you, but I'm gonna get you a nice, by the end of the week, I'm gonna get you a $30 gift card to Starbucks for every person in the room. How many are there?
So we have 3 with me included in our room.
Okay, so I need to get you 4. How many do you need? Okay, I'm gonna get you 3. All right, here we're gonna get back to teaching. You're really interrupting. Golly. Okay, hey, I'm gonna get you 3 30. I'm gonna get you 3 $30 each. That's how much? $90. All right, I'm gonna get that. I'll get it to you. Will you see me Thursday? Okay, and we'll figure out. I might have to do it online, but we'll do it. I had 63 questions. All right, Christianity. Are you guys enjoying this? All right, here we go. Look at this. Founder, Jesus, God triune. Mankind's problem is not self-sufficiency. It's not karma. It's sin. And obviously salvation, okay? So here's the deal. There was a conference on world religions in England. They had Hindu scholars, Buddhist scholars, they had Islam scholars, they had Christian scholars. And they start arguing over what makes Christianity unique, okay? One Christian scholar stood up and said, what makes Christianity unique is the resurrection. The Buddhist scholar stood up and said, no, we have stories of Buddhists who were resurrected in our faith. So then another scholar stood up and said, what makes Christianity unique is the virgin birth of Christ, God becoming man. And the Hindu scholar stood up and said, no, we have stories Lord Krishna put on flesh and came to earth. So the resurrection's not unique to Christianity. And the God becoming flesh is not unique to Christianity. About that time, C.S. Lewis came walking in the room. He said, what's everybody arguing about? And they said, we're asking if anything is unique to Christianity. And C.S. Lewis said, that's easy. Grace. The freely given, unmerited favor and love of God. That's the definition of grace. The freely given, unmerited favor and love of God. Every other religion, you cry out to God, you work your way to God, you appease God. Christianity flips it. It's the only world religion that has grace, the freely given, unmerited favor and love of God. As I study other religions, I come back to Christianity and I say 3 things about Christianity. I say, oh my goodness, we've got the most unique founder. We've got the most unique message. And we've got the most unique book. Never forget that. When I teach my kids about Islam, about Hinduism, about Buddhism, I want them to know. But I also want them to know, compared to these other faiths, we have the most unique founder. Think about this. I just thought of this. Think about this. The founder of Confucianism died at 73. The founder of Buddhism died at 83. Muhammad died at 63, the founder of Islam. Let me say that again. The Confucius founder dies at 73. The Buddhist founder dies at 83. Muhammad dies at 63. Jesus died at 33. No, he did not say, thus saith the Lord. He says, I say to you. Muhammad said, I am just a messenger that God could have used anybody, but he chose to use me. I am just a messenger. Jesus is the most unique founder as he says, I say to you. He didn't say, this saith the Lord. He says, I say to you. We have the most incredible founder. We have the most incredible book. Oh my goodness. I mean, Islam, same size as the New Testament, as I mentioned, spoken by the Prophet Muhammad, over 23 years from age 40 to age 63, written down 25 years after his death. I mean, think about this. The Quran is written in a 23-year period. The Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu scriptures, the last verse in the entire book says this: I think this is true. That's the last verse in the Bhagavad Gita, as Lord Krishna is sharing. When you look at our Bible, oh my goodness. Again, I'm going to say this. The Analects were written by the followers of Confucius. When you look at our Bible, oh my goodness, 23 years? No, 1,500 years. By one author, Muhammad? No, 40 authors. On one continent, in the Middle East? No, written on 3 continents. In one language, Arabic? No, written in 3 languages. Yet, it deals with sin, salvation, the afterlife, debt, marriage with the same simplicity as loving your enemy. This is unbelievable. And the unique message of grace. Wow. Most incredible founder, most incredible book, most incredible message. Is this good stuff? You tired? See some yawning? If I only had coffee, that's all I need. Am I doing her voice correctly? Okay, Benet. Where's Benet? Benet. Listen, we're going to take a passage, and we're just going to look, and we're going to see what Muhammad would have done. We're going to see what Krishna would have done. We're going to see what Confucius would have done, okay? And I think this is going to be really good. And I want to encourage you, if you're, like I said, if you ever in need of a quick preach or something, grab this. And this is going to encourage you, okay? What passage are we going to look at? Do you know? Do you want to guess? I can't hear you. Oh, it is. You guys have notes, that's right. Man, I have not looked at those notes for a year. I sent them last year and it got canceled, right? And then I forgot. I saw Emily with the notes, and I was like, I have notes. Acts 1:3 is the next one. Wow. All right, we'll see. Luke 5. Psych. Luke 5. Oh, wow. Now, here's what I love about Luke, right? Luke 1-4 is the birth narrative, and then Jesus goes in the desert. So Luke 5 is like the first ministry that Luke records, okay? So it's like, this is hot, okay? It's Luke 5 is where we start. On one of those days, as he was teaching, Jesus is in the north, in Capernaum. Some Pharisees, okay, who's the Pharisees? This is the first time Luke mentions them, these religious leaders who are trying to be the keepers of the faith, okay? They're the keepers of the faith. The Pharisees and teachers of the law were sitting there. Now, look at where they'd come from. His ministry just started, but they came from Galilee. Okay, well, he's in Capernaum, which is in Galilee. They also came from Judea. Oh, that's like a 7-hour trip. That's like a 7-hour walk. They also came from Jerusalem. That's like a 7-day walk, okay? So Jesus, already his ministry begins, and he's got some major popularity. Jerusalem, they're coming from Capernaum. So they're in Capernaum. They're coming from Galilee. they're coming from Judea, and they're coming from Jerusalem. Okay? They're hiking up to see him. He's got reputation. Now, passage continues. And behold, some men, we find out in Mark, a corresponding story, that there's four. Four guys bring a paralyzed. They were seeking to lay him before Jesus. We know the story. Finding no way to bring him in because of the crowd, they went up to the roof. They let him down through his bed, through tiles, in the midst before Jesus. Now, let me just try to paint the emotional picture here, okay? These four guys have a paralyzed friend, and they say, we know the teacher is coming. We know the teacher is coming. He's in Capernaum. We've heard he is in a house. This is our one chance to bring our paralyzed friend. They make a makeshift mat, and they know they're getting close to the house because it's packed. They can't even get in the fence. They are outside the house. There's like 2 makeshift windows. They can't even get on the property. One of them probably says to the other, let's leave and come back tomorrow. The other one says, there might not be a tomorrow. The teacher might leave. We got to do something now. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I have an idea. They go over to the back of the house. One of them says, lift me up. Okay, they lift him up. They go up to the house. They say, let me have the paralyzed. Let me have a friend. They pull him up. He pulls up the other 3. Now they're on top of the house, and they say, okay, there's 4 guys and a paralyzed, and we're on top of the house. Now what do we do? Well, peel it back. Peel what back? Peel back the roof, the mud, the tile. Inside is packed, and mud is falling through the ceiling. The Pharisees are like, you're getting my robe dirty. What's going on? And then all of a sudden, they find light, and they say, help. And they lower this guy down into the house. And in that moment, you have the paralyzed, you have the Pharisees, and you have Jesus, and everything stops. What in the world would cause Jesus to say this? This is not the problem. He needs to be healed. And instead, he says, your sins are forgiven. We did not go all the way through this roof so that our friend would leave here paralyzed. But Jesus, no plans to heal him. Why? Because for the rest of eternity, he wants people to know your eternal state is more important than your physical state. That's the lesson for today. So take him on the mat and please leave. I am not going to heal him. Instead, his most serious need is your sins are forgiven. Now go and carry him back to his beggar's spot. That was where the story stops. But the Pharisees, did he just say your sins are forgiven you? You blasphemer. They're not even saying this out loud. Mark tells us they're thinking it. And then they have a correct belief. This is correct. Only God can forgive sins. They're correct in that statement. They just failed to realize God in the flesh. Psalm 51:4. To you and to you alone have I sinned. If I break into your house, steal your Xbox, and then burn it down, and a week later, I go up to your friend and say, hey, do you forgive me for burning down his house? Your friend's going to be like, why does it matter? You got to talk to him. Only the offended person can forgive you. To you alone have I sinned. Who can forgive sins but God alone? The Pharisees were correct. Your sins are forgiven you. So, Jesus, okay, paralyzed, come on back, 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 come back. Why do you question your heart? Which one's easier, guys? Which one's easier? Your sins are forgiven or rise and walk? He says that to the Pharisees. Which one's easier? Your sins are forgiven or rise and walk? I'll tell you which one's easier. It's way easier to say your sins are forgiven. Why? There's no proof. If you are downtown and you go up to, if you're downtown New York and you go up to people and you say your sins are forgiven, they're going to be like, thanks. They're going to think you're crazy. If you go up to people and say your sins are forgiven, they're going to be like, this guy's crazy. But if you go up to a paralyzed and say rise and walk, and they walk, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you know what you're talking about. Which one's easier? Your sins are forgiven or rise and walk? Well, it's easier to say your sins are forgiven. I know. And so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to say that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins. Rise and walk. And he picked up his mat. Look at this. This is so intriguing. Muhammad would never have said your sins are forgiven. He doesn't have the authority. Muhammad did no miracles except to recite the Quran. He did not have authority to raise the dead. Confucius would have never talked about the afterlife or sins. But Jesus, without hesitation and a quiver in his voice, says, rise and walk. No other religious founder would say your sins are forgiven and then validate it by a miracle. Also, he says the Son of Man. The Son of Man, when we read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it's in every chapter of Luke. It's almost Jesus' favorite nickname. He calls himself the Son of Man. After Daniel 7, you will see the Son of Man come, and every nation, tribe, and people will worship him. His throne and dominion endures. Daniel 7, he takes on the name Son of Man to talk about his eternal kingdom. No other, Buddha would never have said that. I mean, that's an understatement. Luke chapter 5, opening paragraph of his public ministry, he takes on the name Son of Man. He says he forgives sins, but only God can forgive sins, showing deity. And then he validates it with a miracle. And we're one chapter in his ministry. I mean, Deuteronomy 6:4. Every Jew knew this. The Shema, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Yet loving Thomas says this. He attributes deity to Jesus, and Jesus never rebukes him. Would Muhammad have ever let one of his followers cry out, Muhammad, my Lord and my God? Oh, no. Would Buddha have ever allowed one of his followers, my Lord and my God? Would Confucius, would Lao Tzu in Taoism, no, my Lord and my God? And then Jesus validates it. He says, he doesn't rebuke him. He says, oh, Thomas, you're saying this because you've seen. But in 2020, 2021, 2022, there's going to be students at Word of Life, and they're going to doubt. They're going to be raised in a Christian home. Their faith's not their own. They're going to doubt. But they're going to believe. And they haven't seen. You're blessed because you've seen. But these students, they're blessed because they haven't, and they still believe. Most incredible message, most incredible book, and most incredible founder. Don't take that for granted. See you tomorrow.